Welcome back to Linked by Golf, the podcast exploring the journeys of people linked by the game. I'm your host Ross McGuire, and this week I'm joined by Colin Dickson, a successful fitness coach whose love of the game has led him to training golfers alongside his other customers. In this episode we discuss Colin's journey into fitness as a career from IT, his experiences in playing the game, and his work with hundreds of people to support their own health and fitness journey. Let's go over to Colin. Colin Dickson, great to have you in the podcast. Did you ever think you'd be on a golf podcast talking about fitness?
Never, Ross, not. I didn't think I'd ever be on a podcast. Never mind a golf one talking about fitness. Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's great to have you on, Colin. I mean, we've known each other for probably the best part of 35 years, I would have thought.
I was going to say, I had it in my head it was about 35 years.
Yeah.
Scary.
It
Scary
might,
when you
do
think
you know what?
about
It might even be more than that because you joined the golf club when you were what, 8, 9?
it. I was 8 when my dad got me in to Colwell Park. So it must be just about 35 years.
Now, we're going to tell a tale out of school. It's all moved on now, but am I right in saying at one point you were in the wrong age category?
Yes, yes. That'll get my dad into trouble now. I think he actually doctored my age to get me in when I was 8, and he had me down as 10. Yeah,
Well, we've all moved on now, Colin. It's all good. It's all water under the bridge. But then, just talking about golf, Colin, we've jumped straight in there. Was it your dad that got you into the game? How did you get going?
very much so. Yes, obviously you know my dad very well as well, and one of the probably the keenest golfers you'll ever meet in your life. Practices more than anyone you know, I'm sure.
I think he practices more than VJ Singh.
100%. So yeah, he got me into golf from a very early age. First got me my first set of clubs, not like it was or it is now, where you get the junior sets. It was all cut down 3 irons and 5 irons, and yeah, up to Colville Park to play.
Brilliant. And then, Colin, what about Colville Park as a place? What was that like for you when you were a kid and growing up and some of the characters that were there?
It was great. You know yourself, a great bunch of junior golfers. We had a really good junior team. Back in the day, and you know yourself, just a great bunch to play with. Great growing up. Summer holidays, getting dropped off at 9 o'clock in the morning, getting picked up at 8, 9 o'clock at night when it get dark. We just spent the full summer there. You know,
Yeah.
probably a bit different to what it is like nowadays with laptops and iPads and stuff. We just played golf all the time, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, Colin, we're on here to talk about your personal training and fitness world that you're in now, but I'd love you to just talk about where you were before you got into fitness, because I know the history, but it wasn't just a straight line from being interested in golf and sports and everything straight into fitness, was it?
No, no. So I originally qualified in IT. So I'd worked in IT for 8 or 9 years, and as I've told you many times, didn't particularly enjoy it, if I'm being honest. And yeah, something happened to me. So when I was 30 when I eventually transferred over into personal training. So this is me now, nearly in my 16th year, and I'd actually helped a friend get into shape, because I'd always been into the gym, but I'd helped a friend get into shape for their wedding, and I just thought at the time, I thought, I really enjoyed that. Like, see, just the buzz of helping somebody lose a bit of weight, get fitter and stronger. And at the time, I'm living myself, no kids, no family. It was very much like, you either do it now, you make the transfer now, or it's never going to happen. So ended up doing my PT course at the same time I was working in my old job at Dell Computers, and then 6 to 8 months later, I was on the gym floor.
Wow. And that's the
Crazy.
funny thing. I mean, fitness is huge now, and I guess it's always been growing. It's not just come out of the blue completely, but I mean, 16 years ago, Colin, there wasn't a lot of people working in fitness. So, what was it like making that jump?
When I look back now, it's terrifying, because like you say, personal training wasn't even that big a thing 16
No,
years ago. Like when I went into
absolutely.
my first gym, there was only one other personal trainer there. You walk
Really?
into a commercial gym now, there might be 6 or 8 personal trainers. Um, but I guess I was kind of fortunate in a way that I had my own house, or I stayed in my old flat, and like not making a go of it just wasn't an option. You still had your bills to pay. The wee bit of money saved up from my old job, but it was a case of, right, I've got to hit the ground running here, so I've got to make a go of this. Um, so I went into DW Sports in the September of 2010, and it probably took me to about the February 2011 to really get up and running and get a decent client base. And by that point, I was really sort of up and running.
Yeah. And what was it like back then? So, I know these days you're doing a lot of stuff online, but what was it like back then in terms of people coming to see you?
So it was all in person. Then there was no online. There was no apps. It was all, all my programs were all done old school on a bit of paper. Um, and getting clients in the beginning was tough. You've got to go up, and it's not like online when you can just message or DM someone. You've got to go and approach someone in the gym. So someone's working away on a treadmill or on a chest press machine. You've actually got to walk up and just start a conversation with them, try and get talking to them, um, offer up free sessions to try and show what your training style's like and how good a fit you would be. But yeah, that was definitely the hardest bit of the job. Was just approaching strangers for months on end.
And I was just going to ask, just thinking there, do you think golf helped with that at all?
Possibly, yeah, yeah, because you know what it's like. You're playing with different people. In competitions each week. You're playing with people that you don't necessarily know. Um, I think my last job, if I'm being honest, and with Dell, helped me as well. Although I didn't particularly enjoy the job, like just being able to speak to and communicate with people. Had I not had that experience, I might have found it a bit harder. So that was the one thing that I could kind of transfer over from my old career. Was basically how to deal with people, how to approach people, how to speak to different types of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in terms of what you do now, Colin, I mean, you've talked here about how you got into it. So just talk about what motivates you for it as well.
I still get the same buzz now. Like I just love like helping people. Like I love my clients reaching their goals. You know, I wait for my check-ins at the weekend now, and I still get the same buzz as I did 16 years ago when I just started. So I don't think that'll ever leave me. Or even now, I'm more kind of online than I am in person. I probably even more of a buzz now than I did, from when I first started out.
And the thing is, and it might be obvious to a lot of people, but not always. I think there might be the perception that you're just telling what folk what to do. But your own fitness, I mean, just talk folk through what kind of routine you go through yourself and some of the I know you've been doing high rocks and things like that. So I'd love you to talk to folks through what you actually do yourself in a week.
So I suppose it changes with the seasons. So over the last couple of years, during the winter time, I've been training for a High Rocks race, which is actually 2 weeks today. High
Right.
Rocks Glasgow. So this is it'll be my third High Rocks race. I did Glasgow last year. I did Dublin in November last year. So it almost replaces the golf during the
Right.
winter, which is what I love about it. So it's quite intense. 5 or 6 days a week over the winter training. And then once that's done, it just fits in perfect with the start of the golf season. So come April, my training will switch a little bit. it won't be 5 or 6 days. It might only be maybe 3 days in the gym because I'll be playing more golf. And golf really becomes my focus then heading into the spring and the summer.
And what kind of things are involved in the High Rocks for anybody that's never come across it?
So the race itself is 8 single kilometre runs with there's 8 stations in between. So there's a ski erg, sled push, sled pull, burpee broad jumps, rower, farmers carries, walking lunges, wall balls. Do you know what? It's great. I love it. It's so addictive. Absolute torture when you're doing it at the time. When I was halfway around one of the laps, the running laps at Dublin, I'm like, I am never doing this ever again. and here I am 4 or 5 months later, ready for my next race. But the thing I love about the training is that there's no 2 days are the same in your week. So it's completely different from like you're going to the gym and doing your 2 or 3 or 4 strength sessions per week. Each day is different. So like a Monday might be your first strength day. A Tuesday will be like a long run. So like yesterday, my long run day, you're out doing maybe 10 to 30, 13K. You then might do like a high rock specific training day where you're practicing your stations and just getting your technique right and practicing what's called your compromise runs, which is basically running on when your legs are on fire,
Oh, no.
which is a huge part of the training. And then you might have another day that's doing some shorter like, track runs. So no 2 days are the same. And that's what I really enjoy about it now.
And so the competition is all inside, but you're
Yeah.
training inside and outside, right?
Yeah, I do all my running. I try to do all my running outside, but in Glasgow, it's in the old SECC building.
All right.
That's where the race is. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So you're basically running round the arena. I can't remember. It's like 3 or 4 laps as your 1 kilometre, and then you're into your next station.
And you do that 8 times with doing the stuff in between?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I've got a client who's my doubles partner. So
Right.
Ruth, so we do the mixed doubles, and she's got to do all the guys' weights. So there's different weight categories, but the mixed doubles, all the females have got to do the guys' weights. So she's crazier than me.
And that's
Yeah,
saying something.
yeah, yep. So we're ready to go. We're on the countdown now. 2 weeks today is race day.
Brilliant. Well, all the best for that. And
Thank you.
Colin, that's a great step into what we're talking about today in more detail, as well as you mentioned the golf there. So you've got your high rocks training, obviously training people all the time, all year round. But now you've been able to start combining this more specifically with golf. And I'm sure, look, you've got friends that are golfers, you've known people that are golfers for years, and I'm sure you've trained them for fitness, but now you've started working with Lanarkshire Golf Association. So I'd love you to just talk about that and take the listeners through how you're helping the younger kids get into fitness for golf specifically and actually more broadly.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, this came about probably about the autumn time last year. A man that both of us know really, really well, Ian Rankin from Colwell Park, he's still involved with Lanarkshire Golf. He'd contacted me and asked if I'd be interested in coaching some of the young kids through the winter time, basically just to do a winter programme to try and get them fitter and stronger, heading into what's now coming up to the 2026 season. So obviously something I'm really passionate about. If as long as we could make the times work, it was an absolute no-brainer for me. So I eventually got in contact with the junior convener, Kenny McLean, Lanarkshire, who I think might be the secretary as well. And we had a good chat about it. And yeah, we got everything sorted. So we started start of October, maybe, ran up to Christmas. And now it's hard to believe, I think we've only got 5 sessions left. So it's actually tonight, it's a Wednesday night that we do the sessions. I've got 4. 4 junior golfers, and it's been brilliant, like just working through each different phase with them. So we're actually due to start a new phase of sort of training tonight, but we're working on mobility, strength, a lot of core work, a lot of rotational work, and then a lot of like kind of explosive power.
Right. Brilliant. So then, Colin, in terms of each part, like I've been listening to, well, obviously yourself over the years, but other podcasts and stuff about mobility and hearing stuff about like stretching, and you've got the sort of common layperson's understanding of, oh, I'm a bit stiff, I need to start stretching. And I was listening to one in particular with a group over in America, and they were talking about you that's just not going to work basically. So I'd love you to talk about how you would tackle helping people be more mobile, even for younger kids.
It's just a huge part of training now, mobility. I guess this just isn't even with kids or with golfers. I would say the population as a whole. Um, if I had to pull the average person from the street, you'll probably find they've got really, really tight hips and
Right.
really weak hamstrings and glutes. What do we spend most of our days doing? We sit down, we're sitting at a desk, we're sitting in a car, we're sitting watching TV. So your hips are constantly getting tighter and tighter. And that's why I think nowadays as well, you people with lower back problems, um, constantly sitting down, tight hip flexors, weak hamstrings and glutes that lead to lower back problems. Um, I'm pretty confident that if someone came to me and said, "Listen, I've got my lower back's giving me a few problems," that if I gave them some properly structured, for example, deadlifts and some hip stretches, and told them to go away and do that for 6 or 8 weeks, they would see a huge improvement. Um, so yeah, so the mobility stretches, we always do them at the start of each session, and I'm really trying to ingrain it into the boys that I almost want them to do this like before they go out and play every round of golf. Let's loosen off the hips, let's loosen off the shoulders and the spine. So we have a run of maybe 4, 5, 6 exercises that we do at the start of each session, just to really help with our mobility.
Brilliant. And then, and actually, we'll come back into that. I've got a few questions on that and follow up, but I'll save them. We'll go through some of the other points. But then we touched on strength as well. So, what kind of things would you see from a strength point of view you'd work with people on as well, Colin?
Yeah, so it's got to be full body. Okay, so we've got to cover all the bases. So what I've been doing predominantly with the juniors is that we do 4 or 5 strength exercises. So it'll be 2 or 3 upper and 2 or 3 lower. Big compound exercises. So no t-shirt muscle exercises, no bicep curls or anything like that.
Right.
All big compound exercises, deadlifts, squats, lunges. For the upper half, pull-ups, bench press, overhead press. So if you just take those 5 or 6 exercises and give them to just about anyone and said, right, go and try and get stronger in those movements over the next 6 to 8 weeks, it's amazing the difference you would feel.
And the thing that I think the part you're stressing there is, of course, you want folk to do it for the long term and commit even more in terms of time. But I'd love you to talk about, Colin, just the impact it can make from doing something different and making it regular versus not doing anything at all.
It's huge, especially as you get older. It's, I find it myself. Um, And you've got obviously the strength and just overall like feeling fitter and stronger and stuff like that. But I think now as well it's the whole kind of like mental side of it as well. Like it's amazing how much better you'll feel after you've done a workout.
Yeah,
The amount of times I've had clients in one-to-one sessions that have come into me, not if they've had a rotten day at work, stress with the kids or the family or whatever, you'll come in, they'll do their workout, and see by the end, they'll always say, God, I feel a million times better now.
yeah,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
it's not just the physical side, it's the mental side as well.
If you've been enjoying the show, please do remember to follow on your favourite podcast platform and share it with a friend. Now let's get back to the pod. And then you talked about rotation as well. So, what do you do with people in terms of rotation related? Well, just in general, but also related to golf.
Yeah, so yeah, this is a huge part of it. This is the third block of exercises that we do in our session. So a lot of cable work. Cables
Right.
are fantastic for doing rotational work. Um, I do an exercise that I suppose not overly common, but called a landmine rotation, which is basically using the Olympic bar to rotate with. It's mostly cables and bands, medicine ball rotations, all that sort of stuff, just to strengthen their core. And again, that wouldn't be just for kids, all age groups, all levels of fitness ability should be doing some form of core and rotational work.
And I think for people who are maybe like me and not necessarily going to a gym a lot, they could be intimidated. You're about going to a gym, seeing a personal trainer. But what I find really interesting now, Colin, as you mentioned the cables there, you mentioned bands, you mentioned medicine balls. You're not talking massive weights. Like folk are not trying to lift, 150 kilos off the bat. So I'd love you to talk about that in terms of how you can introduce people with, I'll say, relatively straightforward exercises that just get them doing what you're talking about and getting them on that pathway.
Yeah, you could do all this stuff in the house. I mean, COVID completely changed everyone's outlook on working out from the house. I didn't have a single client that worked out from the house like pre-COVID, whereas now, I mean, I must have at least a dozen clients that do some form of workout in the house. Completely
Wow.
changed. Um, and it's not overly expensive to go and grab, to buy some bands and a couple of medicine balls, and you could be doing all of this in the house. Because I do totally get the intimidation factor with the gym. That is a big consideration for a lot of people, and people
Yeah.
just like working. I think people enjoy working out in the house as well.
Yeah, and even for myself, I mean, I definitely need to do more, but I've bought a band. I've actually got a couple of bands and I've got a medicine ball and I'm doing really basic things, but the impact, honestly, is phenomenal when it
Yeah,
comes to, and I'll circle back to this, but you mentioned round prep, so we'll talk about that in a wee bit more detail later. But for me, just even using bands before I start for 5, 10 minutes, like I'm not getting tennis elbow anymore.
yeah,
I'm not getting pain when I'm swinging. My arms feel better, my forearms, my fingers. So it's
yeah.
really incredible the difference you can make with just a simple change. And then, of course, if you commit with somebody like yourself, that's just going to multiply all the time.
Yeah, and just like you've mentioned there as well, injury prevention,
Yeah.
especially as you get older, you know,
Yeah.
he tweaks elbows, back, shoulders, just keeping everything strong. And do you know what? See, in terms of shoulder health, there's so much you can do with just bands in the house.
Yeah.
Just to keep on top of, rotator cuff issues, all that sort of stuff. So you don't need loads and loads of expensive equipment. Just like exactly like you said, you can get by on, some bands and a couple of medicine balls.
Absolutely. And then when you've been working with these golfers, the young kids, and obviously other golfers as well who are clients anyway, what are the sort of common weaknesses that you see in terms of physicality and things they can work on and make big improvements on really quickly?
So, um, I wouldn't necessarily say there's anything like particularly with juniors that would differ from adults.
Right.
And to go back to what I've said, previously, most people have a weak back, weak hamstrings, and weak glutes. Um, even if they are training, most people will probably go towards more of the muscles you can see. So they'll be doing bench press, they'll be doing maybe a shoulder press, they'll be doing loads of arm work. They might not be doing a huge amount of leg work, and they might not be doing a huge amount of work for their back. So if you to take the average person, that's where I would concentrate most of the volume to begin with. I know that's what I did in my kind of first block of training, this first sort of 4 to 6 weeks with the junior golfers was really focus on their back and their legs.
Right.
Yeah.
And what kind of changes have you seen in them?
Honestly, the four of them, I hope they watch this podcast. I'm going to say to them tonight about it because I can't speak highly enough of them. They've been fantastic. They've went away and like done extra stuff out with their sessions. I've added them all to my app, so I've given them little bits and bobs and programs to do while they're not seeing me. Um, and we've seen some really good increases in club head speed
Wow.
over the winter already. I'm excited to see where it finishes up. So we've still got another 4 or 5 weeks to run, and then I can start to really look at, you know, because I've got a record of all our club head speeds before they started,
Right.
and we'll then look at that. We'll obviously retest that at the end of March and see, where they end up. But already, like 6 to 8 miles an hour, not
Which
on
is huge, right? I mean,
huge, huge for these
that's
guys.
a
Yeah,
maybe minimum 18 to 25 yards in the air.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
huge for anybody.
Huge. Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm going to keep an eye on their seasons. The four of them. I think they're all five handicap and below.
Brilliant. Well, that's awesome.
Three of them are 15, one of them's 14.
Right.
So a good age. And, it's like you and I never had anything like this when we were growing up as a junior.
No.
Um, but, the thing is now, if they're not doing it, then you're getting left behind.
Yeah, because somebody's doing it, right? Somebody else
Oh,
is definitely doing it. I mean, for
you
us
look at
back
it.
in the day, and if you look at some of the folk we were lucky enough to play golf with, I mean, the reality was, guys like Stevie, Paul, Week Ellett, they're doing the practice area way more than any of the rest of us, and it kind of showed. So you take that to fitness, it's a no-brainer. If you're doing it and somebody else isn't, they're going to fall behind you.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm excited to see where they'll get to with their club head speeds. Obviously, whether it goes straight or not, that's not my concern. That's their golf coach's concern. I'm just going to add the club head speed on, and their golf coach can worry about whether it's on the fairway or not.
Well, Kenny Monaghan, the guys done at Strathclyde Range or over at Clydeway or wherever, they can worry about that stuff.
Aye,
It's not
exactly.
brilliant. And then, Colin, just more broadly, and I think you're a great example of this anyway, just with your passion for fitness and training. I mean, what have you observed in golf over the years and how's it changed? What have you seen? I mean, obviously, Tiger's a great example, but what would you say more broadly, just beyond Tiger?
I mean, would there be any like college or tour player now who's not in the gym? I don't think so.
It's probably a
Um,
handful on the whole tour.
Aye. I mean, as you say, Tiger completely changed the landscape, didn't he? There would have been guys like that were fit and probably went to the gym like pre-Tiger, but he's just taking it to another level. And I mean, even I'm just flicking through my feed this morning on Instagram, and up pops, Scotty Scheffler, Rory. Who was the other one? I think it might have been Justin Thomas, like just training in the gym. So they're proper athletes now. And you're not getting away with not doing anything in the gym.
Absolutely.
You're just going to get left behind. And on so many levels, not just the strength and the club head speed, but flexibility, longevity, you know, injury prevention, all of it. But Tiger was the one that took it to a different level.
Yeah, and then I was going to just circle back, Colin, on the round prep. So one of the things, that I need to do way better on this, but I've definitely been doing more with bands. I've got a medicine ball now that sits in the car that I take down if I'm hitting a lot of balls, and I'm trying to incorporate it even before I just play around, to be honest. But I'd love you to talk about just getting people activated for going out and playing and the difference potentially of not spending that, what could be 10 minutes, right? And 10 minutes isn't ideal, but even 10 minutes, the difference that can make when you're actually out in the golf course.
100%. I mean, and you don't like the difference. I suppose with the pros now. You look at their routines. They're going to the gym before a round
Yeah,
all the time. I mean, Justin Rose. I mean, it came out when he just after they won. Was it in Phoenix a few weeks ago? His layout, his day. He was in the gym at 5 a.m. before he went out.
yep,
Um, So I know obviously the amateur golfers and the junior golfers aren't going to be going to the gym before they go out on the golf course, but the mobility stretches you can be doing them in the house with zero equipment or just with limited bands. I know that's what I do now, so 4 or 5 mobility stretches on the floor before I go out for a round of golf, and it just helps immensely before you go, you know, rather than get in the car, get the clubs out the boot, and just straight 2 swings and then straight onto the first tee, and then
yeah,
wonder how you start double bogey, double bogey.
yeah. And it's really interesting. Like I've reflected on this a lot, especially recently. Your range sessions now, and you've seen me doing my silly attempts at gaining speed and stuff, which I've been able to do. And I would say straight out the gate when I tried that the first time, I went straight to speed sticks and injured myself and all of that. So I think it's important for people if they're going to do some form of speed training or any kind of training just to get the right direction. And, been able to do that a little bit myself now. But when I go and play, and I've reflected on this a lot recently, there was a round where I played and I'd maybe spent, honestly, like, it was garbage. It was like 5 minutes. I had maybe 15 balls, did a bit of stretching, bands out for a couple of minutes, and I went away and played, and I hit the ball rubbish. Absolutely terrible. Good thing was I scored okay, right? I got away with it. I've been practicing a reasonable amount, so I got away with it. I can get my way around the golf course. And then one of the next times I played, I spent more like 15 minutes, which doesn't sound much more. It was more like 15, 20 minutes. I've got straight to the bands first. I've got the medicine ball out the car, doing a bit of bouncing, whatever with that, holding it over the back of my head and all these kind of things. Um, and honestly, what a difference it made. Now, I didn't play amazing, but I felt so much better. My swing was in a much better place. I didn't have it perfect, definitely had it better. Felt more in control of what I was doing. And I think that's so huge for people now. So that for those young kids who've been working with you, Colin, it's a great platform for them to take forward for their golf every day.
Yeah, if they take, I'm going to be trying to drill into them now over the last kind of 4 weeks before the season starts that to try and do the mobility stretches at least as a kind of minimum before they go out and play golf. Um, even just like the thoracic, rotations. I mean, how much does that help with golf? Like just sitting, just doing them, as you say, for 5 minutes before your round could make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And then, Colin, I mean, it's not just the fitness side in terms of physical. You obviously look at nutrition as well. So, what kind of things should golfers and everybody in general be thinking about before they go out and play that round? It's like 4 hours long, right? What kind of things
Yes.
should they have in mind?
Yeah, so I guess a lot of this will come down to tee off time, wasn't it? Like how
Yeah.
early your tee off time is. So I guess that broadly, protein and carbohydrates,
Okay.
and hydration. Hydration's huge. Like a lot of people won't drink enough water, even the day before. If you know you're going in for a long round or you've got a 2 rounder, drinking enough water on the days leading up to it so that you're not dehydrated. But protein and carbs on the day. Um, if I speak for myself personally, I play quite early, so there's no way I'm getting up and cooking at that time in
Yeah.
the morning. Yeah, the wife batter me. I'm out cooking at 7 o'clock in the morning. So my go-to at that time is like overnight oats.
Right.
So oats, Greek yogurt, and that's something I'll make up the night before, put it in the fridge, wake up in the morning, and they're good to go.
Perfect.
So protein, carbohydrates. Then I'll take some stuff with me in my bag. Might be like more water, usually a protein shake, a protein bar or a protein like flapjack. Might have a banana. If it's a 2 rounder, you might have like a chicken sandwich or turkey sandwich, something like that. Um, if you are teeing off later and you've got a bit more time, getting up, making some scrambled eggs and toast, like a bagel and scrambled eggs, something like that, and then just taking something in your bag. I mean, if you start to see a pattern where at the back end of rounds you're feeling fatigued or your concentration slipping, then one of the first things I would look at would be your nutrition.
Yeah, totally.
So it's something a lot of people wouldn't even think of. They'll
Yeah,
just think,
because
"Oh, well, my round fell apart today."
again,
Again, yeah. Whereas if they track it back, you go, "Well, didn't drink any water during the round."
yeah,
Uh, you
it's
know,
mad when you think back. I mean, even as kids, it just wasn't really necessarily entering your brain to do all that stuff, eh?
no, no, no.
Just
And
madness.
it's just trying to drill it into the kids now, of like, this is really gonna help, especially when the 2 rounders. It becomes even more
Yeah.
important then.
Yeah, 2 rounders. I mean, I wouldn't say I dread them now, but I went through a period living down here where I hadn't really played any 2 rounders for a long time, and I tried, and oh my goodness, it was just torture. It was brutal. And that was, to be honest, that was getting towards the end of the first round. Then you're into, maybe they've got a lunch laid on and you're straight into like a steak pie. I mean, what you what you thinking? It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, not the best option. Leave the steak pie for after the second round,
Or just don't
or
bother.
the chips and cheese. 'Cause the thing is, anything that's really, really high in fat is just gonna sit in your stomach. You're just
Yeah.
gonna go out in that second round and just feel lethargic.
And then
Um,
you get to the end of the round and you start to potentially feel nervous, excited. A lot of that might be down more to what you've actually eaten versus truly how
yep,
you're feeling physically.
yep, yep. If you haven't eaten properly, your blood sugar levels drop, and all that sort of stuff affects you more. Um, but then you come off the course and you just blame your blame your swing, don't you? Blame yourself.
In the practice area again, oh, that'll solve it.
Yeah. Whereas maybe looking at your nutrition. So, I would say that for anyone like listening, if you start to see a pattern where you're struggling at the end of rounds, then look at your nutrition, look at your hydration, before you give yourself too much of a hard time.
Not that you and I have ever done that, Colin, eh? Or each other.
Yeah.
So then a couple other questions, Colin. What's the biggest myth in fitness?
Whoa. That carbs are the devil's work. Do you know? I think slowly but surely. Um, the mindset on carbs is changing now. People know that it's that you need carbohydrates. That's your primary energy source.
Of course.
Um, the problem is, and my clients will just roll their eyes at this point because they've heard me saying it so many times. The problem is, it's when you combine a lot of carbs and a lot of fat at the same time. That's where
Right.
you run into problems.
Okay.
So without getting, I suppose, too deep into it, if you're looking at carbohydrate sources, your ideal carbohydrate sources should have if you're looking at the labels, should have less than 10 grams of fat in them. So if you think about it, porridge oats, high in carbs, low in fat, rice, white potatoes, all that sort of stuff, all high in carbs, but really low in fat. And by the same token, your fat source should have less than 10 grams of carbohydrates.
Right. There you go.
So sirloin steak, high in fat, no carbohydrates. It's when you start to combine the two, that's where you run into trouble. So if you go and pick up the label on a donut, it's going to be sky high on carbohydrates and fat. That's the foods you want to try and keep to a minimum. So it's not that carbs are this huge like evil. Your body needs them. They're actually good for you. It's combining lots of carbs and lots of fat at the same time. So yeah, that's a definitely a myth that needs to die on
Yeah,
the fitness front, as
brilliant.
along with like kind of detox diets and all that kind of stuff.
Most underrated exercise for golfers. I think you might have touched on this already.
Uh, a trap bar, like a trap bar deadlift, see a hex bar deadlift. If you go and watch any of the pros working out, there's not a single session that doesn't involve some form of like trap bar deadlift, just because it works so many different muscle groups. So if you're only going to do like one exercise, that might be it.
I'm sure I listened to Xander Schauffele on a pod, and he said that when he started lifting heavier on competition days, he actually started playing better.
Right.
It was incredible.
That is pretty. Yeah.
So he used to stay away from really heavy days, like, and just have that during the week. And he said he was starting to feel fatigued, so he just turned it around and started doing not massive, but like short periods of heavy lifting on the day. And he said his game almost transformed at that point in terms of fitness and on the course and how he was feeling.
Well, that would be interesting to see whether that was like an anomaly.
Yeah,
Uh, because I would always program when I get into golf season now, I'm programming my heavy strength days away from my competition days. So
yeah,
Wednesday, Saturday are my two competition days.
right.
So my heavy lifting days will be Monday, Thursday,
Uh huh. To give
probably,
you
and
that
then
rest period.
round about your golf your golf days, you're doing like more rotational work, explosive work, box jumps, medicine ball slams, all that kind of stuff. The things that you'll recover from quickly.
Right.
Um, but that's quite interesting.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
going
need
to
to
go and look
check
at
that
that
one out. I'll find
now.
it for you.
Yeah, yeah, I'm interested to hear about that.
And then wrapping up on the training, if you could train one tour player, who would it be and why?
Good question. Like, I think the obvious answer would be Tiger. Do you know what? I would just love to sit in on one of Tiger's sessions,
Yep.
especially when he's coming back from all these different surgeries over the years.
Yeah.
Um, I would love to just sit in. The level of detail and coaching that he must be getting would be phenomenal. Um, but if I had to pick a kind of current player, I think like see someone like a Justin Rose,
Yeah.
like just a really, really good guy, like
Yep.
similar age.
Yeah.
Um, I think I just would be a really, really good guy to train.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I try
Okay.
and see if he can give me any swing tips. Well, in return.
As long as you're getting a cut when he wins. Right. We'll jump into some golf questions, Colin. Best golf course you've ever played?
uh, probably, probably Turnberry.
Nice.
I like Castle Stewart as well.
Castle Stewart's good, eh? Brilliant golf course. Views are
You
amazing.
played Castle Stewart, didn't you? Did you?
Yeah,
What did
played it
you
last year. Played it with Dingy. Got beat again.
think? Well, you played Dornock, didn't you? How would Dornock rate against
Oh,
Castle
Dornock's
Stewart and Turnberry?
Dornock is right at the very top, and I'm trying these days not to put them in order, but Dornock, Castle Stewart, and Turnberry would be in my top five in Scotland, definitely. Definitely my top five. And that includes like Carnoustie and stuff like that. So yeah, Castle
I,
Stewart's really good.
I was lucky that I got Castle Stewart on a really good day. And see when you're
Yeah,
standing up on the high bit of the golf course looking out to the water,
that's unreal.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
Absolutely phenomenal.
it
I
is.
really enjoyed it. But yeah, I like Turnberry as well, definitely. Or Castle Stewart would be the two, I think.
Brilliant. Course you'd love to play apart from Augusta that you've not been to yet?
I think in Scotland, it would either be Dornoch
Yep.
or the Trump course. Worldwide, and obviously this is fresh in my mind now from 2 weeks ago, Pebble Beach.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're sitting watching that on the TV and it's
It looks
looks
alright, doesn't
phenomenal.
it?
Phenomenal. Again, you get that
Just
on
like
a clear.
medals at CP back in the day.
Yeah, same sort of views.
Brilliant. Best golfer you've ever played with?
So I think it would probably be Stephen O'Hara. So he came to Colville Park. I don't know. He came from Calder Braes, didn't he? I'm going to guess we might have been 15,
I think you'd have been 14 or 15, yeah.
14 or 15, I think. And what he did from like probably the age of 16 to, I don't know, 19, 20 at amateur level was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Um, and you're playing medal rounds with him when he's 15, 16, and he's hitting 18 greens in regulation. I genuinely watched him doing that. It was phenomenal.
In fact, I'm
Um,
just laughing, do you know, I'm sure it was you and I that played with Stephen. He won is it the Craig Cup that was like the best 2 medal scores plus on the day?
yeah, I think maybe 2 or 3 monthly medal scores plus on the day.
And he went out in 32, and I made the bold decision to press him on the back nine. And I was joking with you. I said, "You're not going to press him as well." And you just looked at me, "You are absolutely stupid." And of course I was, because he shot 3 under in the back nine. The two of us came off. And I think, honestly, Colin, I can't remember somebody shooting 6 under par and it looking so easy.
Easy,
It was ridiculous.
easy. How many times? I don't know how many times he won the Scottish boys, and then did they not win the British as well?
And the
Like,
Scottish boys, the British boys, and then the Scottish amateur, yeah.
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 And obviously, Paul, his brother, was a really good player as well, but he was a bit younger than me, so I didn't play. I don't recall really playing a huge amount of golf with Paul.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, tee to green, like Stephen O'Hara was just
It was
phenomenal.
funny, I've been reflecting this a lot recently, that we'd be sort of judging ourselves against one of the guys at the club, and I mean in a very positive way, trying to work out where you were at with your game, and you're like, "Oh, I've nowhere." And then you come to realisation when you get into your 40s, wait a second, Stevie was probably in the top 20 amateurs in the world. What were
Yeah,
we even thinking? It's just
yeah,
judging yourself against somebody you shouldn't even be thinking about. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Some really good golfers
Aye.
in Lanarkshire at that point. I know, obviously,
Lanarkshire was
you've
brilliant.
had a few of the guys from Wishaw, and
Aye.
haven't you as well? Some great junior golfers
Yeah, Lanarkshire, we were
working as
pretty
well.
blessed in terms of guys that were really good, eh?
Yeah.
And you're helping the next generation come through, Colin.
Hope so. I hope so. I'm going to be watching them closely this year. Yes, that would be good.
Brilliant.
Um,
Right, we'll finish up with the best round of golf you've ever played.
yes, so I can tell you the year and everything. 2010, Craig Cup, as you mentioned before, at Colville Park, 65 scratch. No idea how I done it. My dad still got the scorecard
Oh,
up on
lovely.
in his study from
Well, see,
that.
this is his study, no yours.
Yeah, yeah, he's got the card. Aye, just probably one of those once in a lifetime rounds where you're pitching in, holing from everywhere. But yeah, that was 2010. Seems a lifetime ago.
That's awesome. And still two better than me around CP as well. And you've done 66. So yeah, you've
Yeah.
got me cornered with those. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
You've got me cornered now, big man. You're
I
the
don't know about that. No, we don't know about that. Right, Colin, just wrapping up here. So if people want to get in touch and find out more about how you can help them with fitness, nutrition in general, and potentially into their golf, where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram, Colin Dickson PT. So please come give me a follow. I've got lots of workouts, nutrition. I've got some golf specific stuff on there as well, which I'll be doing more of hopefully during the golf season. So yeah, come give me a follow. Any questions on anything, then just drop me a wee DM. More than happy to help.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thanks so much for coming on, Colin. It's been great to hear from you.
Thanks for having me, Ross. Been great catching up.
Cheers, pal.
Cheers.
I'd like to thank Colin Dickson for joining me and sharing the stories about his journey and his work in health and fitness. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow Link by Golf on your favourite podcast platform, leave a review and share it with someone who loves golf and people's journeys. You can also find the show on Instagram at LinkByGolf2024 for future episodes, clips and insights. I'm Ross McGuire, thanks for listening.
Lomond Golf Tours have helped thousands of guests build bespoke golf trips to create a magical experience. Travel in style with our executive chauffeur travel, whether it's golf on a major championship venue or one of our hidden gems, 5-star accommodation or a boutique bed and breakfast, or is it whiskey tasting on a private boat? Lomond Golf Tours are here to help build the tour of a lifetime. Whether you're celebrating a special occasion or ticking it off your bucket list, embark on a trip that you'll remember forever. Visit www.lomondgolftours.com.